Hello, all, and welcome to another episode of my podcast, Nako Wants to Know. And today we'll be talking about all things astrology with Brooke. When it comes to the world of astrology, I am open to learning and understanding more about it. I'm particularly interested in learning more about astrology and all the information it can tell you about yourself because I'm currently undergoing a self-discovery journey and wanting to learn myself from a different perspective and lens. Brooke is going to educate us a lot on some of the topics, but I want to make sure that all of you are in the know. So I'm going to define some terms and share basic facts and attributes about each zodiac sign. Class is officially in session. Welcome to Astrology 101. I'll be talking fast, so be sure to keep up. Let's start with some general things. A horoscope. Horoscopes are defined as a forecast of a person's future, typically including a description of character and circumstances based on the relative position of the stars and planets at the time of that person's birth. So essentially, a horoscope is a prediction to a specific day, week, month, or a year. Houses. Along with the 12 signs, the zodiac wheel is divided up into 12 houses, pie chart style. Each one represents a specific area of life, and each adds another layer of interpretation to the planet sign formula. Now, because there are 12 houses, I'm going to tell you what each one represents very quickly. House 1, the self, new beginnings, and independence. House 2, money, material possessions, day-to-day work tasks. House 3, communication, ideas, short distance travel. House 4, home, family, and emotions. House 5, creativity, fun, romance. House 6, health, organization, and routine services. House 7, relationships, whether they're professional or romantic, contracts, and marriage. House 8, sex, mystery, and other people's money. House 9, learning, spirituality, long-distance travel. House 10, achievement, tradition, authority. House 11, friendships, technology, humanitarianism. And House 12, intuition, the arts, and the ending. Don't know why that's so dramatic, but that's what they defined it as. Now, zodiac signs fall within each of these houses, and that is what you call a chart, and everybody's chart looks different. That's why you have chart readers like Brooke who will tell you what each of those mean and break it down for you, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Let's talk about cusps. Cusps are defined as the dividing line between two different signs or houses. So if you're born on the cusp of Cancer and Leo, that means the sun was hovering over that dividing line at the moment you were born. Elements. So there are 4 elements, kind of like an avatar: fire sign, earth sign, air signs, and water signs. Let's start with fire signs. Fire signs tend to be passionate, dynamic, and temperamental. They get angry quickly, but they also forgive easily. They are adventurers with immense energy. They are physically very strong and are a source of inspiration for others. Fire signs are intelligent, self-aware, creative, idealistic people, always ready for action. And the fire signs are Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Earth signs. Earth signs are grounded and the ones that bring us down to earth. They are mostly conservative and realistic, but they can also be very emotional. They are connected to our material reality and can be turned to material goods. They are practical, loyal, and stable, and they stick by their people through hard times. The earth signs are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. Air signs. Air signs are rational, social, and love communication and relationships with other people. They are thinkers, friendly, intellectual, communicative, and analytical. They love philosophical discussions, social gatherings, and good books. They enjoy giving advice, but they can also be very superficial. The air signs are Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. And last but not least, we have our emotional water signs. They're known for being extra sensitive. They are highly intuitive and they can be very mysterious. Water signs love profound conversations and intimacy. They rarely do anything openly and are always there to support their loved ones. The water signs are Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. Now, I know some of y'all are familiar with zodiac signs, so let's get into it. And this is the order. Aries are March 21st through April 19th birthdays. Strengths are courageous, determined, confident, enthusiastic, optimistic, honest, and passionate, whereas their weaknesses are impatient, moody, short-tempered, and impulsive or aggressive. Taurus are April 20th through May 20th, and their strengths are reliable, patient, practical, devoted, responsible, and stable, whereas their weaknesses are stubborn, possessive, and uncompromising. Then we have our Geminis, May 21st through June 20th. Their strengths are gentle, affectionate, curious, adaptable, ability to learn quickly, and exchange ideas. Weaknesses, however, are nervous, inconsistent, and indecisive. Next, we have our Cancers, June 21st through July 22nd. They're tenacious, highly imaginative, loyal, emotional, sympathetic, persuasive, with weaknesses of moody, pessimistic, pessimistic, suspicious, manipulative, and insecure. We have our Leos, July 23rd through August 22nd, with strengths of creativity, passionate, generous, warm hearted, cheerful, humorous, weaknesses of arrogant, stubborn, self centered, lazy, and inflexible. Our Virgos are August 23rd through September 22nd with strengths of loyalty, analytical, kind, hardworking, and practical. Weaknesses of shyness, worrisome, overly critical of self and others, all work and no play. Next, we have our lovely Libras, September 23rd through October 22nd. Their strengths are cooperative, diplomatic, gracious, fair minded, and social. Weaknesses of indecisiveness, avoids confrontations, will carry a grudge, and self pity. Coming in after our Libras, our Scorpios, October 23rd through November 21st. Strengths are resourceful, powerful, brave, passionate, and a true friend. Weaknesses, distrusting, jealous, manipulative, and violent. Next, we have our Sag gang because it is Sagittarius season, November 22nd through December 21st. Shout out to the Sages. Strengths are generous, idealistic, great sense of humor. Weaknesses, they promise more than they can deliver, very impatient, will say anything no matter how undiplomatic. Followed by Sagittarius or Capricorns, December 22nd through January 19th. Strengths are responsible, disciplined, self-control, good managers with weaknesses of know-it-all, unforgiving, condescending, expecting the worst. Aquarius are January 20th through February 18th. Their strengths are progressive, original, independent, and humanitarian. Weaknesses, runs from emotional expression, temperamental, uncompromising, and aloof. Lastly, we have our Pisces, February 19th through March 20th, and their strengths are compassionate, artistic, intuitive, gentle, wise, and musical, with weaknesses of fearfulness, overly trusting, sad, desire to escape reality, and can be a victim or martyr. So those are our 12 zodiac signs. We're almost done here with Astrology 101. We have our big three, also known as our natal chart. So if you hear people ask you, what is your big three? That is going to be your sun sign, rising sign, and a moon sign. Sun sign is defined as the sign you typically look at when you're reading your horoscope, and is said to reflect your core essence. This is the sign the sun was in when you were born. So, that main sign, when people say, when's your birthday? You're going to tell them, and that's going to be what your sun sign is. Rising sign. If you were to ask someone else to guess what your sign was, they might say your rising sign. It represents the traits you project to the world, whether by choice or unconsciously. So, essentially, a rising sign is the way other people perceive you. Moon signs. Your moon sign represents your inner life and emotions, the side of yourself that you don't necessarily show other people. So that's your big emotional side. Now, people also want to know about retrograde, chart readings, and zodiac compatibility. But luckily, we have Brooke here to break those things down for us. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Brooke. This has been Astrology 101. Class is out of session. Today we have the lovely Brooke who's going to talk to us about all things astrology. How are you today, Brooke?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Just to get started, I want to talk a little bit about you and what it is that you do with astrology. So, what compelled you into believing in horoscopes and zodiac signs?
I think I've always been interested in astrology. Like when I was younger, I would read like the magazines and you would flip the magazines and like go to your horoscope and read them. But I
Right.
think I more so recently got interested during the pandemic because, we all just had a lot of time on our hands during quarantine. So I was like, let me just learn more about astrology, and I was just hooked. Like everything just made sense to me. I don't
Hmm.
know. So that's when I was like, okay, like I want to actually like learn more about it and then like figure out how it affects my life or how it relates to me and then also how it relates to my friends as well. So that's how I got started in it.
So awesome. It was just like your natural curiosity and just like attraction to astrology that pretty much prompted what you
Mhm.
wanted to learn. That's awesome. So I am aware that you have a business that involves horoscopes and the charts. So what are all the services that you offer personally?
So I do birth chart readings,
Mm,
and that basically means that I do a reading based off of your birth chart. So I do more of an I guess I analyze them more, I would say I analyze people's birth charts, so I break down what, like, every aspect of your chart is,
Mhm.
and I feel like that's really good for people that, they wanna get into astrology, but they don't understand it, so I explain, like, what a sun sign is, what a moon sign is, I break down all the planets, and then I also break down the houses and the signs as well, and how that relates to specific placements in your
Oh,
chart.
wow.
And then I can also do based off of career aspects and also romantic aspects as well.
Okay, so it's kind of like you're guiding people towards, like their future and
Mhm.
whatnot. So that's what it essentially means to have someone read your chart, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so how did you make yourself like equipped and knowledgeable for reading charts?
I would say that I still do this honestly. Would look into my own chart
Mhm.
first, because I feel like that's the easiest way that you can learn about astrology is when you look inward and you look at your own chart, because that way you can be able to dissect other people's as well.
Right.
So I would look into my chart, and then I would also ask like some of my friends as well, like, can I see your chart? And I would try to go into I would try to analyze it in, like, deeper aspects of things that I felt like I might not know about them and then
Mhm.
ask them about it,
Mhm.
and then that way I was able to, they'd be like, "How did you know that?" And I'd be like, "I don't know, it's the chart," but that's how I was able to learn more about, astrology or more about, birth charts.
How long have you been doing astrology then? The readings?
I would say maybe a year and a half, but I took a break from it personally because to me, doing astrology and I know some astrologists don't see it this way, but I see, like, doing astrology as energy work or spiritual work, and that can be very taxing at times, so I just took a break from it, and also because I just think that there are just so many aspects of astrology, and I'm still learning personally, and I wanna be able to offer as much as I can to people, which I already was because whenever I would do like my birth chart readings, I would give somebody like a PDF of their like reading or their guide. It'd be like 6 or 7 pages long. I'm like, I still feel like it's not enough. So I kind of like am a perfectionist on that sense. So that's why I'm not really doing readings anymore until I figure out like the exact layout of how I want the birth chart readings to look and how I can go even more in depth on people's readings.
No, I definitely think that's awesome. It sounds like you're perfecting your craft so you can just have more
Mhm.
of like a quality, you know, I don't know, just more of a quality experience for your clientele. And I think that's amazing. So, speaking
Right.
of your clientele, have you ever had anybody come back like thanking you, like, oh my gosh, you've been my spirit guide, or anybody being like, Brooke, what did you just do? Like, this was so wrong. Like,
Yeah. I think for the most part, I've gotten a lot of great feedback from people
good.
on it. And not everything is going to be like exactly accurate all the
Right.
time, but for the most part, I've heard pretty great feedback from it, or people like, I still look at your reading to this day because like I feel like it helps me when I'm like in life and I like have questions about stuff. So that makes me feel really good about that. But like I said, I still want to just be able to dive deeper into people's reading so they can be able to learn not every aspect of themselves, but
Hmm.
just learn even more about themselves
Right.
that's specifically tailored to them, you
Yeah.
know?
And I even heard that you said, what was it that you said? How your readings aren't always going to be 100% accurate and things like that. So, what are your
Mhm.
thoughts, or what do you say to people who argue that horoscopes aren't real and that these like daily, monthly, and yearly readings that you're doing are like vague, so they can apply to anybody?
Yeah, I think that's a good, like, criticism of astrology,
Oh wow.
but to me personally, I feel like even if So say like both of us, like you and I are
Mhm.
both Scorpio moons. I'm actually a Scorpio moon,
I'm
but let's
actually
say we're both
Scorpio
you
moon too.
I
That's
love that.
crazy.
That is crazy. That is crazy. So say, yeah, we both are Scorpio moons, but that's gonna be aspected differently towards us. Like that's gonna be aspected in different ways because
Mm.
of the fact that, we might have like our moon placement might be in different houses,
Mhm.
or not even just that, but there are aspects as well. So like aspects like a square aspect or a triangle aspect or a there are just different
Mm.
aspects. So our
Okay.
moons, our planets might be aspected in different ways. So it might
Mhm.
affect us differently. The
Right.
Scorpio moon might affect us differently. So I think that's a very fair critique.
Mhm.
But like I said, it really just all comes down to astrology having so many different layers to it,
Yeah.
that it might not necessarily, it might seem vague if it's just a regular sun horoscope, but I think
Yeah.
it's helpful when you go in and you dive in a little bit deeper.
Yeah. I would like to acknowledge like how awesome I think that you handled that question. That was a very mature response. People get very defensive. So for you
They
to like
do.
see it as like, from that
Hmm.
perspective, that's amazing. I respect that. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. So what is the difference between tarot readings and like zodiac, excuse me, chart readings? And am I
Mm-hmm.
saying that right? Tarot? Like is it tarot?
Yeah, you're
Okay.
saying it correctly.
Okay.
So tarot is more so okay. So I like tarot as well. I like tarot a lot. So tarot is more so divination, if I'm saying that correctly.
Okay.
So divination is spiritual work. Like that's like legit spiritual work where people use spirit guides or their ancestors
Mhm.
to receive answers or receive guidance on certain situations or certain
Mhm.
questions that they might have.
Yeah.
So usually the medium that is used is like card decks that they
Okay.
use.
Okay.
So that's what tarot is. So tarot's more so using like intuition and
Mhm.
using spirituality
Mhm.
to explain certain situations
Yeah.
in life. And then when you go to like zodiac and horoscopes and astrology, to me, astrology is very math based as well because
Okay.
when you look at like a chart, like it goes by the 360 degrees
Mhm.
and it also goes by like different angles and different degrees. But also you don't necessarily need to be it like spiritually in tune to do astrology. I am, but I know some astrologers that are really good at what they do and they're not. Like
Mm.
they just know like what like for example,
Okay.
Leos represents leadership and generosity, entertainment. They know what a sign stands
Yeah.
for or what certain signs or certain houses what they are related to, and that way they can be able to interpret whatever placement goes with that. I
Mhm.
hope that makes sense. I think like in my opinion, I feel like everyone can be able to learn about astrology, but I feel like it takes a certain person to be able to do tarot
Mm.
readings. Like, I don't feel like everyone can do that because it takes a lot of spiritual guidance and spiritual intuition that might might not
Mhm.
everybody might not be able to tap
Mhm.
into that, you know. Like those are certain gifts that certain people have.
Right.
That was my opinion. But that's my opinion.
No, right, and I thank you for that clarity. My freshman year of college, I had somebody do a tarot reading without really knowing what it was
Mhm.
and, like, if it was real or not, but me personally, I don't like to play with, like, any energies that whether it's good or bad, whatever,
Mhm.
whatever, I don't like to play with it. Imma just stick to what I know,
Yeah.
right? So when I had that tarot reading, I swear that thing cursed me. I'm like, I don't know if the person who did it I don't know if the person who did it knew what they were doing, but I just remember kind of like not liking the feeling after that, and it was
Mm,
weird. But you spoke to the importance of like being spiritually attuned.
mhm.
So, in your definition, what does that look like to you personally?
Um, Being spiritually attuned, I feel like that has to do with being, connected to whether it's the universe or whether it's God or to your ancestors. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
that plays a major role in it. And
Wow.
also a lot of people that do like readings, they have
Mm-hmm.
really high intuition. Like are like they know like what certain signs, like if they see like certain signs, like they know what those signs mean. Um to
Mm.
me, that's just like what being spiritually attuned is, but also knowing how to use your gifts in a way that works for you. Like, I think
Okay.
nowadays, and it's nice that like everybody's wanting to get into spirituality and astrology and tarot, but I
Mm-hmm.
think also like a lot of people are so quick to make everything like a business and figuring everything out. And it's like,
Mm.
no, but do you need to do tarot? Like, that might not be what's for you. Like, you might be really good at, like, some people are really good at, like, root work, which has to deal with, like, using roots and herbs, or some
Mm-hmm.
people are good at, um, some people know how to read bones, like, that's a thing,
Woo!
like, you might
Read
be really
bones.
good at that, yeah, you might be really good at that, like, tarot might not necessarily be your thing, so I feel like figuring out what lane works for you is how you can be spiritually in tune and use your, spiritual intuition
Mm.
to, like, the best of your abilities.
Yeah. Okay, that definitely makes sense. All
Mhm.
right. And so out of pure curiosity, just a fun question. Do you believe in like manifestation, dark magic, palm readers, fortune tellers, anything of that nature? Do you believe in any of it?
I do. I think because like I've seen it like up close and personal.
Mm.
So I've seen people, especially like Black and Indigenous people, I feel like we're very spiritually in tune, and sometimes we just don't necessarily know it. But I feel like we're so spiritually in tune because that's how our ancestors were. So I feel like the
Mm.
more connected you are with your ancestors, then like you can be more spiritually in tune. So I do believe in people that can like have like all these different spiritual gifts, because I've literally seen people like be able to manifest certain things for their lives, or they've
Mm.
been able to help other people in their lives as well using their
Yeah.
gifts.
Okay. Awesome. Well, I need some of that magic if it's out there. The good kind, though. Only the good kind.
Yes, yes.
But so I can speak for myself when I
Mhm.
say that I don't know how true it is, but during the events of Mercury's retrograde, something was off for me. I was going through it. And
Mm.
I can say some friends also said the same thing. So I don't know if that, like I said, the effects of Mercury or just we're all in sync somehow. So my question to you is, can you give us some insight on what exactly like Mercury retrograde is?
Yes. So, well, I'll go and explain like what retrograde is, because I
Okay.
feel like some people are like, what is like Gatorade, or what is
Right.
like regurgitate? What is that? So, retrograde is when the planets appear to be spinning backwards.
Okay.
So that's what a retrograde is when the planets appear to be spinning backwards. So when we talk about retrograde, I know Mercury retrograde is like the most popular, but other
Mhm.
planets go into all the planets go into retrograde.
Mhm.
Like all the planets go into retrograde.
Mhm.
And that just means whatever the planet is associated with.
Mhm.
then it kind of does like the opposite effect and things kind of go a little crazy. So Mercury, for instance, deals with communication, it deals with technology, it deals with
Mm.
um it kind of deals with personal relationships a little bit. So whenever Mercury retrograde happens, and that's when people are like the do's and don'ts of Mercury retrograde, like don't sign contracts or start like serious positions whenever you're in
Mhm.
Mercury retrograde, because it's not gonna last for as long, or like technology likes to mess up. I mean, literally, like, what was it? Instagram was down,
Mhm.
like, remember, like, Instagram, what was it? Was it Facebook that was down? I don't know if it was Facebook
Yeah.
that was also down
2
too,
of
but
them, 2
yeah.
of them.
Yeah, Facebook and Instagram were both down
Mhm.
during Mercury retrograde, and I'm like, "That's literally, like, peak Mercury retrograde." Or, yeah, like I said, just don't even start jobs or sign certain contracts because they might not last as long.
Oh,
But that
wow.
also relates to like people coming back into your life. Like
Mhm.
sometimes in Mercury retrograde, people come back into your life and you're just like, why did you come back? And they're like, want to talk to you and communicate. Like
Mhm.
that's usually when people are like, don't talk to them because
Mm.
they're not gonna be there for that much longer, so
Got it.
yeah,
So
mhm.
it's almost like a time of reflection.
It is, I would say that. That's a really
Okay.
good term for it.
Okay. Awesome.
Mhm,
So are there any other planets, because you said all of them go through retrograde, that hold as much
mhm.
weight as like Mercury does? Because we make a big deal about Mercury being in retrograde, but I've heard a little
We
bit about
do.
like Venus being in retrograde or something like that. So do they hold
Yeah.
any type of weight or anything like
Yeah,
Mercury does?
I would say all of them do. Like, I
Mhm.
would say Venus in retrograde really is, like, a big one
Mhm.
too because people, like, you're not really supposed to get into relationships during Venus in retrograde because Venus deals with business, partnerships, it deals with
Mm.
romance, it deals with relationships. So
Mhm.
people are like, don't get into relationships during Venus retrograde, or don't what's another thing? Sometimes a lot of friendships end during Venus retrograde as
Wow.
well. I'm trying to think of anything else. Sometimes like there are issues with businesses since Venus does deal with business and partnership. So sometimes businesses can fail during that time, or uh, yeah, that's usually like how Venus in retrograde works. I would also say Mars in retrograde is another big one as well. Um, Mars deals with anger, it deals with aggression, passion,
Oh, wow.
drive, work. So I would say in Mars, sorry, I would say in Mars retrograde, sometimes there can be like pent up aggression during that
Mhm.
time, or even sometimes there can be just like it can be very
Still.
stagnant,
Okay.
yes, or
Okay.
still, yeah, or
Yeah.
still during that time because the planet isn't really um in drive like it's
Mhm.
supposed to be, like it usually is.
Okay, wow. It's like a
Hmm.
lot comes with every single planet. So it's very interesting that
Yes.
you're able to like hold all this knowledge because wow.
Ooh, it's a lot.
I see. So speaking of planets, like let's talk about zodiac signs, houses,
Mhm.
and how they pretty much like all like correspond with each other.
Right.
So in your own words, what is a zodiac sign and what is a house?
Okay, so zodiac signs are, we'll start with sun. We'll talk about sun. That's like the good one to start with because that's
Okay,
usually what people know about.
got it.
So zodiac signs go based off of there are 12 zodiac signs, so that's pretty much a zodiac sign for each month
Okay.
of the year. So
Okay.
12 zodiac signs. Um and everyone has like everyone knows usually knows what their sun sign is.
Yeah.
So the sun is the usually the main focus. So like the sun is the center of all of the other planets. And
Mm.
so those are like your basic identity, who you are to your core. So I'm a Leo sun, means I was like born in July, and that's like my main zodiac sign.
Okay.
That's my main zodiac sign. But when we talk about the different planets and like how I mentioned different planets represent different things,
Mm-hmm.
then that's when we have your moon sign. So you have a zodiac sign for your moon, you have a zodiac sign for your Mercury, you have
Got
a
it.
zodiac sign for all of the planets that you have.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when you're able to get in a little bit deeper and know, I guess, like for let's just say Mercury, like Mercury deals with communication, like I mentioned, and say I'm also a Leo Mercury too. So that's how I know how to communicate. I can communicate best in like Leo ways or how Leos communicate.
Mm.
So it's good information to know. And then when we talk about the houses work in the same way that the zodiac signs do. It's 12 houses.
Mm-hmm.
And for each planet that you have, your planet is going to be in a certain house. And
Okay.
so each planet, or sorry, each house actually represents a zodiac sign.
Okay.
So if you start from the very beginning, which is Aries, all the way down to Pisces, that would be 1 through 12. So 12 houses. So first house is represented by Aries, second house is represented by Taurus, and so on and so forth. So there is a little bit of difference the in the houses and what they mean, but for the most part it's about the same. It's pretty much the same things.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
I hope that makes sense.
Yes, it did. And I want to get into the big threes, but before we do that, I
Mhm.
want to know what are three of your favorite signs and three signs that you don't particularly care for as much.
Okay, so I'm gonna do this by, and I hate to be so like gender conforming, but I'm gonna do it by like my least favorite people of those signs,
Okay, I
if
like
you don't
that.
mind.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so I'll preface this with the fact that, I think that there are evolved traits and unevolved traits of each sign.
yeah. Okay.
And usually these are like how I see people in the most evolved way, or I've interacted with people in the most unevolved way of those
Okay.
signs. So I'll preface it with that. So there we go. Okay, so my favorite signs, I would say Leo. I love Leos, obviously. But I like Leo women a lot. Leo men are okay, but I really like Leo women. I also really like Capricorn women as well.
Okay.
Yeah, or yeah, I don't know. If you look up a list of like famous Capricorn women, they're just all like amazing women. Like Naya Rivera was a Capricorn woman. Serena Williams was a
Mm.
Capricorn woman. So I
Oh.
just like Capricorn women. They're very uh, business oriented.
Yeah.
They know what they want. And I'm trying to think of other signs that I really admire.
I'm scared to hear your not so favorite. As long as I just hope I don't make the list, which I'm going to make you guess what you think my sun sign
I
is.
will, I will.
Okay.
So I really I like Virgo people overall.
What? Okay.
I do, I
Okay.
do. I
Okay.
like Virgo people overall. I think Virgo people are very they're perfectionists, but I feel like it's because they just know it, similar to Capricorn women, like they just know what they want and they
Okay.
work really hard for the things that they want to achieve. So I respect that. I respect that a
Okay.
lot.
That's
Okay,
fair.
so the ones that I'm not necessarily a fan of,
Oh gosh.
I don't like I hate that it's about to be like all men. Oh God.
Uh oh. Here we go.
Not really a fan of Aries men,
Hmm.
personally.
Okay.
I think they're just kind of all over the place. And maybe because I know all the Aries people that I know have multiple placements in Aries. So
Mm.
Aries placements tend to be, especially if you have a lot of placements in Aries, they just tend to be like just so like they can't, it's hard for Aries placements in general, it's hard for them to like, they can start something really quickly, but finishing it, like that's a task for them.
Got it.
But yeah, that's how Aries men. Second placement that I don't really care for. Gotta go with Cancer women. Not really a fan of Cancer women. um, I think, and like I said, these are just like from people that are kind of like unevolved into their placement. They're not really like too settled into it, so they kind of take on like the negative traits of
Mm.
those placements. But Cancer women are mean.
I thought they're more emotional, like some
They
crybabies.
are. They are emotional, but they're also like mean too. And it's like, how are you both? Like, I don't understand that. Um, I don't really care for that much. Oh, and then my ultimate least favorite is
Oh my
Libra
gosh.
men.
Whew, okay. Okay. But interesting. Libra men. Mhm.
Yeah, I really don't like Libra men. Oh my God. Libra men
Interesting.
are messy and just like the worst ways possible. Like they're either they just like drama or
Mhm.
they just attract a lot of drama in their life.
Mhm.
And they also can be very manipulative. And
Mm.
from what I've noticed, like, well, Libra people in general, they just know like how to make people, I guess, do what they want. And I don't
Mhm.
think that's necessarily a bad thing, but I think Libra men like use that to like the worst, like they use it to the worst way.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think of something else I don't like about Libra men. There's a lot of things I don't like about Libra men, honestly. Obviously you can tell had some really bad experiences with Libra
Experiences.
men.
Most
Yeah, they're just
definitely.
yeah. I feel like they're the most immature. Like I feel like men in general have been socialized to be less mature than women are,
Mm.
but I feel like Libra men are just super slow when it comes to maturing.
Okay. I'm glad I didn't make the cut. So let me ask you this before we get into like the big three information. Is it
Mhm.
bad to tell people your big three, or is it bad to reveal like your chart to people? Because I had a friend once upon a time say like people can cast
Yeah,
negative energy towards you. So before
I
I'm out here just
agree.
sharing that, like let me know.
Mhm. I think it's okay to tell people what your big 3 are,
Okay.
but I am definitely against sharing your chart with people, especially, like, people that like, a lot of people just post their chart
Hmm.
on, like, Twitter or Reddit, and I'm just like, I don't really wanna do that." I not
Mm.
only like the negative energy part, but there's just so much that you can find out from a person based on their chart, and I feel like
Yeesh.
if the wrong person sees it, then they just know too much about like, they might know too much about you. Like, for instance,
Got it.
whenever people give me, like, their chart and I've had people who aren't even really into astrology like that, and I read their chart and they're just like, "I feel really vulnerable right now, like, I feel like
Oh
you
wow.
know too much," and, like, I'm not gonna use that in any sort of way, but I feel like it's just a really personal thing, like, to you, and yeah, I don't think it should be shared with everybody.
Okay, noted.
Mhm.
So if I definitely do invest, which I am going to invest in your services whenever you resume them, of course. Let me know when you do, and then that'll be
I
something in
will.
private that I come to you for. So I'm excited for
Yes,
that.
for sure. I'm excited too.
Awesome. All right. So now we're gonna break it down because the big three is sun, moon, and rising, correct? I'm learning
Mhm.
something here.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So I'm comfortable sharing my big three then, since that's okay to
Mhm.
do.
Yes.
I'm gonna let you guess what you think my sun sign is though. Based on
Ooh,
what you know. And
okay.
I'll let you do like a top three.
Okay. Do you know, like, the element of your sign, of your sun sign? Like fire, air, water, earth?
I
It's
so
okay
tell
if you
me
don't.
tell you no, I do, I know it. So you want me to tell you my element.
Yeah, tell me your element.
Okay. I am an air sign.
You're an air sign.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Are you a Gemini?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Yeah.
I'm a
Okay. So
Gemini.
Gemini
Okay.
sun, Scorpio
Mhm.
moon,
Mhm.
and then what's your element of your rising sign?
It's a Capricorn.
You just said it. You
What? What do
just
you mean?
I
Oh,
was
you're
gonna
trying to
guess
guess
it.
it. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you were gonna guess it.
I was
I
gonna
thought you
guess
were asking me. I was like Capricorn.
no, 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 I was gonna guess it. I was gonna guess the
You
element.
could guess. I didn't know
Or
you
I was
could
gonna
guess
guess the
that.
sign. I was gonna guess the zodiac. I was gonna guess the zodiac. You told me the element.
Oh, see, I didn't know you could guess someone's rising. I thought it was just like
Mhm.
straight up. You can guess someone's just sun, and that's it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah.
Are you
Okay.
surprised to find out that I'm a Gemini?
No, I'm
Okay.
not because like the fact that you have a podcast is very,
That's
very
funny.
Gemini behavior. Very Gemini behavior, but that's
That's
good though.
funny.
Gemini is actually, and honestly, that's probably why Mercury retrograde impacted you a lot because of
Mhm.
the fact that it was a, I forgot what sign it was that Mercury was in, honestly.
Mhm.
But I do know that Mercury is ruled, or Gemini is ruled by Mercury. So
Exactly.
so I see why that affected you so much. I see.
They just have it out for me then. That's what I'm hearing.
I'm also a Capricorn rising too.
Oh, look at us.
Mhm,
We about
mhm.
the money mindset business.
We
A
are,
little bit
we
in
are,
there. All
we
right.
are.
Okay, so what does the sun tell me about me? My sun is in Gemini. What does that tell me about me?
Okay.
What should people know about a sun sign?
Yeah, so I think what things people should know about a sun sign is like these are usually that's usually what somebody knows about you if they've been say if they've been around you for like a little bit of
Mhm.
time.
Mhm.
Um, that's usually what they see because it's like the most basic part of your personality. So that's how I usually explain like what sun signs are because
Okay.
it's usually like it's what shines out of your personality a lot of the time.
I like that.
Yeah. What's another thing? Like Geminis are I like Geminis. Geminis are very there are a lot of Geminis that either they like music a lot or they're heavily like musically talented.
Mm,
Like there are a lot of like performers that are Geminis. Or just in general, Geminis love to talk. They love to communicate. Like they will talk your ear off. And I think that's a good thing. Like, I like to talk personally.
mhm.
So, but they're very knowledgeable. Like, that's one thing that I really like about Geminis because they are ruled by Mercury, that they seek out as much information as possible. Like, if they're invested in something, they want to know as much information about it as possible. And if you're willing to listen, then they're going to tell you
Mhm.
everything about it. So that's something about Geminis that I also like a lot.
Okay.
Gemini is also an air sign too, so air signs can be very like, I guess like not like go with the wind, but like they're just very like they can hop from like one situation to the next or one topic to the next.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, they can be a little scatterbrained sometimes, but overall, Geminis are they're good. They're good. I like Geminis.
From like your description and the things that I've read in the past, I feel like I could be a textbook Gemini sometimes, honestly.
Yeah.
Especially on the
Mhm.
scatterbrain. I'm thinking way ahead, way
Everything.
behind. It's everything. It's
Yeah.
everything.
Mhm. Mhm.
So we are both Scorpio moons.
Yes. Oh.
So what did the moons dictate? Talk to me about what the moon is telling me about my Scorpio-ness.
Yes, so the moon sign deals with your innermost self. So it deals with
Mm,
your feelings, it deals with your emotions. The moon also is ruled by like the mother. So it also deals with
mm,
like your relationship with your mom as well. And
mm,
like, yeah, that's basically what the moon is. It just deals with your innermost thoughts and those feelings that you have. So that's something that people might not necessarily know about you. They're not going
mhm,
to know that right off the bat. And if they do find out or see that Scorpio moon sign, it might be until like you really get to know somebody. And I'm
mm.
not just saying this because I am a Scorpio moon, but I think Scorpio moons are like the most like intriguing of like all the moon signs because we just have
Mm,
so many layers and aspects to our moon sign. Like, so for instance, Scorpio moons deal with like a lot of transformations in life. Like we might
mm,
deal with a lot of hardships, or we just might go through a lot of different periods of our life where we're just constantly changing. Like,
wow.
and I think also Scorpio moons are just natural healers as well. Like,
Mhm,
we have the ability to make people better versions of themselves. Um, and that might not always be best on our part, but it works out for them. So, people naturally just gravitate towards us because that's just like people sense like the energy to us.
mhm.
Another thing that I also noticed about Scorpio moons is that people love telling us information about themselves, like secrets, like deep secrets, like things that like I just met you 5 minutes ago. Why are you telling me like your life story?
Wow.
And I think people feel that healer energy within us, so they feel compelled to share that information with us. But that's also what Scorpio deals with. Scorpio deals with hidden secrets, it deals with things that people might not see on the
Mhm,
surface. So people feel compelled to tell us this information. They feel safe enough to share that information with us.
mhm,
And I also noticed that um, another thing with like Scorpio has a lot of Pluto energy.
mhm.
Pluto energy deals with extreme ups and downs. So I notice with Scorpio moons, either they have like a really great relationship with their mom, or it's like not that great. And I know for me personally, like I did not, me and my mom are working on it. We're actually in a really good place right now, but we did not have the best relationship growing up. Like it was very toxic. So yeah, those are Scorpio moons.
I don't know. I promise I'm not saying this just to say this and like
Mhm.
just all zodiac insightful information aside, like I feel like you just read my whole life story so far. Like that is so weird. And it's like I've
Mhm.
had people tell me these things as an individual. So to see that like someone like you have
Right.
experienced these things and have these common, factors, it's very weird. It's also really
Mhm.
comforting, but it's very weird.
Yes. Yes, yes. I get along with Scorpio moons like really well.
Mhm.
I think we understand each other. Like we
Okay.
know what we deal with. I'm here. I'm here for you.
Right. Okay, making a new friend. Hi.
Yes, yes.
Okay, and so lastly of the big three, we have our
Mhm.
rising sign. So explain that
Yeah.
to us. And again, we have that in common, Miss
We
Capricorn.
do, we do. So rising signs deal with first impressions. Like I mentioned, it
Mhm.
is in the first house, so it deals with beginnings. It's usually the impression that you give off to people that don't really know you that well. um,
Mm.
and how you come off to people a lot of the time. So with Capricorn, oh my god, so funny. So Capricorn is very like you said, like business oriented, like we like getting our money or we
Mhm.
like doing the work, we like putting in the time. We're also very like conscious about the image that we have. And that's because Capricorn is like ruled by the 10th house.
Mhm.
And the 10th house deals with like public image. So we're like
Mhm.
literally like, we know how, like, I don't know, this might just be me, but I feel like as a Capricorn rising, I know how I appear to others and I know how I like being perceived by other people.
Mm.
So I don't know, maybe this might be like a little bit of my Scorpio moon being a little like manipulative sometimes,
Right,
but
right.
I like tailoring like my appearance in a certain way if I want to be perceived a certain way by people. Uh, Another thing with Capricorn risings, we're intimidating. Like I have people come up to me all the time, like I thought you were a like a B word at first, and I'm
Mhm,
just
mhm.
like, where did you get that? Like they're like, I don't know, I just felt that energy from you, or like you were just intimidating. Like I've heard that a million times, or also like people think that we're mean or we kind of have like RBF a lot too.
Mhm.
So that's something about Capricorn risings, which is really funny to me, but I love it
Yeah.
honestly.
I'm not gonna lie to you. When I wrote this outline, because the most stressful thing about trying to run a podcast is like having to write outlines and then reaching out to people who you think will fit with these outlines. And most of the time
Mhm.
when I'm typing them, I have like a person in my mind, right? So
Mhm.
I was terrified to reach out to you. I was like, I'm like, okay, I know of her. I don't really know her too well. If she says no to me, I'm gonna be like sad, of course, but I
Yeah.
understand. But I was so
No.
scared to approach her. I'm like, I fear this woman, but it's like out of respect. It's not even like a she's a scary like it's more of like out
Yeah.
of respect thing. It's like that's
Oh.
not someone's like bad side I want to be on. She seems very powerful. Like she has this energy. That's how I
Oh,
like
thank
perceive
you.
you. So the whole intimidating thing, I see it.
Well,
So
I know people see the same thing. If they see it in me, then they see it in you too.
yeah.
So, hey, we both got
Thank
it.
you. We
We
doing it
both
out
got
here.
it. Mhm.
I
Mhm.
love that. So another thing that's very popular nowadays is people wanting to throw astrology into relationships, and there's like the negative stuff of it, and there's like the
Mhm.
positive stuff. So when it comes to pursuing relationships, whether they're familial, platonic, or romantic, do you think the moon sign is more important than your sun sign when building connections? Because those are like our inner selves, our emotions, right?
I definitely think so. I
Okay.
think I'm so glad you asked that question because I think there are 3 signs that are the most important actually when it
Mm,
comes to relationships. I think it's the moon sign, like you
mm-hmm,
said, because it deals with our emotions and it deals with our feelings. I think Mercury because it deals with how we communicate with each other.
mm-hmm,
And I think Venus is
mm,
also important because that's how we love one another. So I think those are the 3
mm,
most important signs when it comes to relationships and how you can be able to relate to somebody or how you can be able to
mm.
even be with somebody.
That's interesting.
Mhm.
So I personally don't use signs to discriminate from like any of the men that I've dated or been interested in.
Mhm.
Um, but I'm not surprised when certain relationships don't work out with certain signs at Virgos.
Mhm.
So what is your approach with zodiac signs in pursuit of romantic relationships?
Oh, so I try to ask people
Mhm,
as much as possible because I feel like to me it's important. Like I really like getting to know people and figuring things out about people. So I'm like,
mm,
send me your chart. Like me and my ex, me and him actually we're not dating, but we talk. We like talk a lot now and we're good friends with each other.
okay.
And he's not into astrology at all, but
Right.
I'm like, send me your chart. And he's like, "I don't know what time I was born at." I'm like, "Well, ask your mom. Like, I wanna know, like, what time you were born at." And because I care about that stuff. Or even like
Mhm.
another guy that I was dating at one point, well, he had the CoStar app, and I really despise CoStar, honestly.
We're gonna get into
Yeah,
it.
I don't like CoStar at all. So my crazy self, he sent me his CoStar information,
Mhm.
and I was able to see like what signs were, like what his placements were. And so I was, oh, it sounds so crazy. I was able to figure out his birth time based off of the information that he gave
Wow.
me. Yeah,
Wow.
that was a little crazy.
Wow, but that's really interesting that you're able to do that. That's some type of power there. Like,
Yeah,
what?
I was able to figure it out. And because I
Mm.
was like, I wanted to see like what, like I want to know everything. Like CoStar doesn't give you all the information, so I'm like,
Okay.
I want to know everything. So I was able to figure out what time he was born at just based off of the information that he gave me. So I was kind of proud of myself, but also a little creeped out at myself with
Right.
that too.
Look, you like it, we love it. I'm not judging it, but
Yeah.
very interesting.
Hmm.
So what advice do you give to those people who just won't date somebody? Well, I mean, you're that person. Because you
Yeah.
won't date someone based off their zodiac sign, correct?
I will. I feel like anything is possible. Like
Okay.
even though I don't like Libra men, I wouldn't be opposed to it.
Mhm.
I feel like that, like I said, there are just so many different aspects of a person. Like you're not gonna just get it based off of their sun sign or even what house that
Got it.
planet might be in. So
Mhm.
I think I don't want to say there's no limit, but you just never know. You really never know
Okay.
until you figure it out. And ultimately, even though astrology is very helpful in figuring out a person,
Mhm.
ultimately how you figure out a person is by spending time with them. And
Exactly.
yeah. Mhm.
And you'll know if you're compatible or not.
Right.
But all I'm saying is I agree with you when like I'm not surprised that something didn't work out and it's like, "Oh, you're a
Oh, no,
sign
I
I'm not
agree.
compatible with." Right.
I agree. I
Okay,
agree.
cool. Okay, so for fun, this is me being attention seeking.
Okay.
You know that I'm a Gemini. So
Yes.
who do you think is a sign that I'm most compatible with or like I should be kind of attracted to or like looking for if I was dating
Mm.
solely based on zodiacs?
Libra.
Libra.
Libra. Yeah, okay. Libra. Okay. Mm.
That's why I thought it was funny that you were saying that you don't care for Libras as much, specifically the men, because like one of my best friends since like 5th grade is Libra. Love her to death. And I also love
Right. Well,
Leos too.
Libras,
Like I love all Leos. One of my
you
other best
do.
friends is a Leo.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I was about to say Gemini and Leos are
Mhm.
really good together. Gemini and Libra are also really good
Mhm.
together. Trying to think. I would also say Gemini and Aquarius. Y'all are both air
Just
signs.
know that I've had 2 different experiences with, like, the Aquarius, and it's just the same thing. Very emotionally unavailable, not yeah, they're just not
Mm.
there. Yeah.
Real No, actually, that's true though. That is true. Aquariuses can be very emotionally unavailable. I
Mhm.
think they're just so guarded in their emotions. They don't really like
Mm.
people getting
Okay.
to know them too well. So they kind of just guard their emotions until they're ready to be comfortable enough with that person to do that.
So let's see about the Aquarius if I try them again. But you were talking about CoStar, which is an app you can't stand. And so here I had like listed some of the recommended apps or the more popular apps. And so that's why I wanted to talk to you about it. So the pattern and co-stars are super big for birth charts, life cycles, just horoscope information, zodiac sign information.
Mhm.
So what is like your knowledge about these apps and your expertise? Or per se, like why do you not like co-star? To talk about those a little bit.
Yeah. So I don't really like CoStar all that much because it's not always accurate. Like they use a different astrology database than than the majority of all the other major astrology websites. So that's
Mhm.
one reason why I don't like
Mm.
uh Astro.com, or not Astro.com, why I don't like CoStar. I do like Astro.com. I love
Okay.
Astro.com. It's like my go-to. I love it so much. Um what's something that else that I've used? I've used Time Passage a lot.
Okay.
Another reason why I don't like CoStar. I'm gonna go back to it. Gonna
Okay.
circle back to it.
Go for it.
The layout of, and I know that might not seem like such a big deal, but when you're really trying to learn more about astrology, the layout of CoStar is really weird because it'll tell you your placements in like a vertical way, and that's
Mhm.
not how a birth chart looks. Like a birth chart is literally a circle.
Ooh. See,
So,
people don't know that.
yeah. And it'll have your placements wherever they're supposed to be. And that's why I don't like CoStar. That's just me personally.
Okay.
Um, I like Time Passage a lot. I use Pattern as well. Pattern is
Do you like the
nice.
pattern?
Yeah,
I like the
patterns are,
pattern.
yeah, I like Pattern.
Okay.
Um, but I think my top one that I really like is Astro.com, because
Okay.
Astro.com has just so many different, it has everything. Like it shows you literally everything about your chart that you would need to know.
So aside from yourself, how are we supposed to know credible chart readers from those who aren't? We talked a little bit about it earlier, people who are kind of like spiritually in tune with that type of thing and are meant to do that type of thing. So how do we
Mhm.
avoid those who are just trying to have some type of business going and just make some money off of somebody?
I would just say, like, of course, if they have reviews, like, definitely look for people's reviews. Like, even though I don't do readings now, I still have my reviews listed on my Instagram because
Mm,
I know people might be interested at one point. So
yeah.
I want people to know that I am legit.
Yeah.
And then also, um, figure out how long they've been doing it for, because I do feel like experience does take a big part in it, because the more experience that you have, of course, the more knowledge that you're going to be able to have.
Hmm.
Another reason why I'm taking a break, because I want to get some more experience in and
Yeah.
more knowledge in. So I think those are just the most two important factors, is just experience and just like past reviews as well.
Okay. Awesome. I wanted to
Mhm.
touch on some common questions that kind of go with Zodiac and just general horoscope information if people are trying to get into it and figure out if that's something they want to believe in or not. What are a few
Mhm.
misconceptions about astrology that you hear?
I think a lot of misconceptions that I hear are people who say that it defines your entire life,
Mm,
or or it defines your entire life, or people are like, oh, well, a lot of people make excuses for like their
mhm,
behavior with astrology. I don't necessarily see astrology like that. To me, nothing is set in stone, because like I said, there are so many different parts of it. There are different, you know, even though your birth chart might say that, like, there are just so many different moving parts of astrology. Nothing's going to always be the same. So I feel like a lot of people are like, they don't necessarily use astrology as a guide as they should. Like, I use it as a guide to help me figure out things about myself,
mhm,
rather than like using it to make excuses for myself in a way. Like,
mm.
I use it to,
For growth
I
purposes.
guess, make myself a better
Yeah.
person. Yeah, for growth purposes, and to figure out, well, okay, what am I good at, or how can I be able to be the best in my career? How can I be able to express myself in this way, or the best way that works for me?
I like that. And that was actually my next question, like
Mhm.
how it can be beneficial. But
Mhm.
I think that that's a great starting point for people who are wanting to look more into their sign, see like these positive attributes and try, like, I don't know, not necessarily acting like that, still be yourself, but use it as a guide to like, how can I grow as a person? So thank you for that
Mhm.
clarification. This question is a loaded question, right?
Okay.
Just because everybody, I don't know what people's opinions on this, but do
Mhm.
you think or do you believe that religion and astrology can coexist?
I do. I definitely do. Like, I'm personally not religious, but I know a lot of people that are still
Mhm,
Christians or they might be whatever religion and they
mhm,
still can believe in astrology. I don't because I don't necessarily see astrology as like I guess I don't know, it's a belief
yeah,
system or I don't know if it is a belief system, but um I feel like the 2 can coexist, like, you can still believe in your higher power and still use astrology to help yourself in everyday life,
okay.
you know?
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you for answering that.
Mhm.
So before I wrap this up, I always like to have leave room for you to make any last minute thoughts or give any type of advice, just to close off and reflect all that we have discussed. Like, do you have anything you want to say or leave with the people who are listening?
I would just say, like, if you're, like, not into astrology or if you're still trying to figure it out, there are plenty of good resources online to learn about it. I know that there's this girl, her name is Astro KIT on YouTube. She
Mhm.
has really good videos for beginners. I mean, that's how I got my
Mhm.
start is learning from her because she explains things in a very basic but
Mhm.
easy way to understand. So I like her a lot. I know there's also iJade on Twitter. She's really popular.
Mhm.
I like her as well. And also, I feel like whenever you get into your chart or whenever you want to learn more about your chart, definitely go on astro.com. And even on astro.com, you can click on certain placements and it'll explain like what
Mhm.
those placements are for you. That way you can have a better understanding of it. But I think astrology can be used in like just so many different ways. Like it's just helpful in literally every aspect of your life. I even have like a astrology journal. I need to start using that more often, but I have an astrology journal. And I'll send you the link for that actually, but it's an astrology journal and it just helps you like learn about
Wow.
yourself. So yeah,
Yeah. And I've enjoyed all that I've learned about it this far. So, yeah.
I'm glad. I love talking about it. I haven't talked about it in like a long time. So it's nice to like really be able to talk about it with like people who are interested in it or somebody that's interested in it.
Mhm. Well, Brooke, I want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to just sit here and have this conversation with me. I really
Of
appreciate
course.
it and all like you've input and everything like that. So, thank you so
Thank
much.
you. I appreciate
Mhm.
it. I had so much fun.
Awesome. Thank you, Brooke.
You're welcome.
I hope you all meet me here next week for a real conversation about what it's like to be inside today's schools. Be blessed, all.